Hello dear students, welcome to our biology program. Today we have a general revision on the whole syllabus. This general revision, it will be about some questions. You have to answer them. These questions are as an example for the exams. So you have to be careful when you answering them. Question 1. Choose the correct answer for each of the following. Muscle fatigue is due to the accumulation of number A, glycogen, number B, lactic acid, number C, carbon dioxide gas, acetic acid. Lactic acid. The answer is lactic acid. From the structural support in plant. Parenchyma cells. Number A, parenchyma cells. Number B, phloem tissues. Number C, collenchyma cells. Number D, A and B are correct. Yes, collenchyma cells. The glenoid cavity is found in the humerus. Number A, B, fibula, C, pelvic, D, scapula. Yes, scapula. All the following forms spores except bread mold, number B, penicillium, number C, adiantum, number D, starfish. Yes, it is starfish. FSH, number A, helps for contraction of uterine muscle, secretes from Graafian follicle, secretes from pituitary gland, secretes from the placenta. Secretes from pituitary gland. 4 brothers have different blood groups. This is because their parents have blood groups B, number A, B, AB, number B, ABA, number C, ABO, number D, AO, BO. The correct one, AO and BO. Used X-ray diffraction technique to know the natural of DNA. Stahl, number B, Crick, Franklin, and Griffiths. Yes, the answer, Franklin. Question 2. Label the following diagrams. Before labeling this diagram, we are going to look for this film in order to remember what about the skeleton. The skeleton of man consists of an axis called the vertebral column attached at its upper end with the skull. The vertebral column is also connected to the thoracic cage and the forelimbs through the shoulder bone and to the lower limb through the pelvic bones. The skeleton can be divided into number 1, axial skeleton, number 2, appendicular skeleton. For the axial skeleton includes the skull and the vertebral column and the thoracic cage. Number 2, the appendicular skeleton includes pectoral girdle for upper limb and the pelvic girdle hind limbs. Then now look to this diagram for the bony vertebra and then label this diagram. Number 1, the centrum. Number 2, neural canal. Number 3, transverse process. Number 4, anterior articulating process. Number 5, posterior articulating process. And number 6, neural spine. Look to the second one, which representing the lower girdle, which is the pelvic girdle for the human being, and then label the diagram. Number 1, sacrum. Number 2, ilium. Number 3, acetabulum. Number 4, ischium. Number 5, pubis. Number 6, coccyx. Look for the third diagram and label it. It represents the sliding theory filament, the sliding theory of the muscles. Number 1, thick filament or myosin, which is made of myosin. Number 2, eye band. Number 3, which represent the whole sarcomere, one sarcomere. Number 4, H zone. Number 5, thin filaments which are made of actin. The Z line. Number 6. Number 7, A band. Look to this film and then we are going to complete the question. Huxley concluded that the protein filaments slide over each other due to the presence of calcium ions. Transverse links extended from the myosin filaments and attached to the actin filament, and energy which is in the form of ATP, which make the head of this actin becomes heads of the filaments of myosin becomes straightened, and this one, once the ATP loses the energy by losing one P, it becomes ADP. The transverse link acts as a hook that pull the actin filament from both sides towards each other, leading to muscle contraction. This is the theory of sliding filament. Question 3. What would happen in the following cases? The testis is still remained inside the body cavity. The spermatogenesis does not occur because it is affected by the high temperature of the body, and this leads to infertility. Second question, the triple fusion does not occur in the embryo sac. Yes, the endosperm nucleus 3N will not be formed. Number 3, the disappearance of DNA ligase enzyme from somatic cells of an adult. DNA ligase remove a damaged area of DNA when disappearing of DNA ligase from somatic cells of an adult, which causes dangerous changes in the cell's protein because DNA molecules are damaged and consequently alter its information content. It will be changed. Number 4, the transplanting of gene from a strand of fruit flies into cells destined to become reproductive organs of the embryo of another strand. The embryos which were transplanted of gene grow up with ruby red eye instead of brown. Number 5, the corpus luteum is removed before the 4th month. abortion occurs because of the secretion of the progesterone hormone will stop, which inhibits ovulation during pregnancy, preserve the endometrium, stimulate the maternal mammary glands to develop gradually. Stimulates the maternal mammary glands to develop gradually. This progesterone, it is very important for all of these three reasons. Question 4. By using the figure, complete the following table. Part number 1, A, amniotic fluid. Amniotic fluid, a fluid which serves to protect the embryo against shocks and dryness. Number B, the umbilical cord, a tissue rich in blood vessels which transfers digested food, vitamins, water, salts, and oxygen from the placenta to the embryo circulation. And it transfers the excretory waste and carbon dioxide from the embryo's circulation to the placenta. Question 5. The following diagram shows the thickness of the uterus of a woman over a period of 28 days. Look to the diagram, then answer the question. In which day the menstruation begins? Why the lining walls of the uterus become thick? In which day the ovum is released from the Graafian follicle? Number D, state the hormones which are responsible for the thickness of the uterus and from where they are secreted. The menstruation begins at 0 days. The lining wall of the uterus becomes thick due to the secretion of estrogen and progesterone hormones from the Graafian follicle and the corpus luteum of the ovary for the thickness of the endometrium with blood vessels and the glands during proliferation and ovulation phase of the menstrual cycle that is essential to implanted the fertilized ovum and also is necessary for keeping the fetus during pregnancy till birth. Number C, the ovum is released from the Graafian follicle in the 14th day of the menstrual cycle. Estrogen hormone secreted from the Graafian follicle and the corpus luteum, progesterone hormone secreted from the corpus luteum and the placenta. Question 6. What is meant by menopause, breeding cycle, menstrual cycle, alternation of generation, the tropism, anticodon, releasing factor? Menopause, at the age of 45 to 50 years, the ovary become inactive, where the hormone secretion is decreased and the uterine lining is wrinkled. Breeding cycle is a certain period where the ovary become regularly active in the adult female. Menstrual cycle is the breeding cycle in human beings known as the menstrual cycle. Alternation of generation, it is a way of reproduction in which some species of plant and animals can breed both asexually and sexually during their life cycle. The tropism is the response of different parts of plant to light, humidity, and gravity. Look to the following film. Look to the following film during answering this question. Anticodon. What is meant by anticodon? The anticodon is the site which base pairs with the appropriate messenger RNA codon at the messenger RNA ribosome complex. This binds the tRNA to the mRNA temporarily, allowing the amino acid which is carried by the tRNA to the incorporated into the polypeptide in its proper place. The releasing factor. Look to the film and during answering this question. The releasing factor is a protein which is banded to the stop codon and causes the messenger RNA to leave the ribosome, then the ribosomal subunit separate. For the anticodon and the releasing factor, for the anticodon, look for the tRNA once it is complementary or linked with the messenger RNA into the ribosomal unit. It is at the A site, and then you found that the anticodon here, or the tRNA, contains 3 codes or 3 letters which are which are called the anticodon. For the terminator or the releasing factor, we found that this releasing factor where the stop codon comes and the messenger RNA is enter with the messenger RNA band with it, and during this bending part we found that this will stop the action of this one. So the protein synthesis stop here, and each part, there are 2 subunits of the ribosomes will be separated. Also the messenger RNA will be released from it, will be released. Question 7. What are the genotype and the phenotype which are resulted from mate between the heterozygous male black colored mouse and a female brown colored? Explain your answer on genetic basis. Try to answer it. I will give you a second. Yes. At the beginning, when you are going to answer a question such as this, you have to read the question another time. What are the genotype and the phenotype? Here, so what is needed is to write the genotype and the phenotype of each of them. Then, which are resulted from mate between heterozygous male black color mouse, male black color mouse. So it is a heterozygous, so it is a this zygous, it is a hybrid one, it is a mixed one, and a female brown colored. If you look here, you found that the black color is dominant over the brown color. The black, it is dominant over the black color. So if you are going to answer this, you will take the first letter of the word black, which is B, and write it in a capital letter. And the brown color, which is the B small, because it is a recessive character. So the B capital, it represents the black color, which is a dominant, and the B small, it represents the recessive character. Then you will make a label with at one side the parent P, and you write in it in front of it the two parents, which are B capital, B small for the male, it is hybrid or heterozygous, and X in between, and then write a little bit away the B small, which represent the female, brown one. The male produces two gametes, which are B capital and B small, and each one of them it is written inside a circle, and beside them you are going to write G, that's mean the gamete. Then in the other hand, for the female, you are going to write the B small inside circles also, which represent the two gametes of the female. Then you will take the B capital with the B small of the female, which represent a black one, and the second one it will be black also, and the two others are brown. So the resultant offspring, which is F, the filial or the F, it will be B capital B small, which represent the black color, and the genotype of the other two offspring, it will be B small, which represented the genotype. The phenotype, it is the brown. So the genotype is B capital B small, and they are black for B capital B small and brown for the B small. And this will represent the ratio of 50% to 50%. Now the question 8. Give reason for each of the following. It is difficult for sickle cell anemia patient to respire easily. Yes, because the sick by the sickle cell anemia have a genetic disorder in the gene, which is responsible for hemoglobin synthesized in the red blood cells. As a result, a change in the hemoglobin molecule occurs. Consequently, the red blood cells become folded and sickle-shaped. These abnormal red blood cells are unable to pick up oxygen in respiration. Number 2, the change in the chemical structure of the gene leads to the cause of gene mutation. Because the chemical change in the gene structure lead to changes in the arrangement of the nitrogenous bases of the DNA molecule. These changes finally lead to the production of different enzymes, which would in turn develop a new trait. Such a change in the chemical structure of gene is often accompanied by a change from dominant to recessive state, although the opposite may occur in some rare cases. Question 9. The reverse transcriptase enzyme and polymerase play an important role to obtain DNA cloning to the precursors of red blood cells. Declare this role from the experiment which is carried out by an investigator. Investigator can isolate the messenger RNA from the precursors of red blood cells which produce hemoglobin. In these cells, there is a great deal of messenger RNA carrying the message which is necessary to make the protein and use it as a template to make complementary DNA by using reverse transcriptase enzyme. Once reverse transcriptase has produced a single strand of DNA, its complement can be synthesized by DNA polymerase. The resulting double strand can be then cloned. Question 10. Explain withdrawing the sexual reproduction in Plasmodium malariae. Look to the film while we are answering this question. Try to remember the life cycle of this plasmodium. When the mosquito penetrates an infected human skin to get a blood meal, it takes the infected blood cells with it, where gametocytes arise into male and female gamete with one N chromosome in the mosquito stomach. Then the gametes fused into zygote 2N chromosome, which transforms to ookinete that penetrates the wall of the mosquito stomach and grow to oocytes. Then it changes into the Plasmodium 1, which is taken once the mosquito infect the human beings. It penetrates all of this Plasmodium inside. We reached the last question in our revision, and be careful when you answering any question in your paper and arrange your answer very well. Good luck.